There's somehow a relation between Miyamoto Musashi's martial arts school and this guy on YouTube Shorts. Maybe you've seen him before. His name is Vin Jiang. He is like a public speaker sort of guy. He teaches people how to speak better in public. So Vin made a video, a YouTube short that I saw one time, I think, or maybe twice, but it just stuck with me. He made a video about how you can speak great at one speed. You can be speaking
theoretically the perfect possible speed so that everybody in the audience can hear what you're saying properly,
Not too slow.
Not too fast.
You're speaking, pronouncing everything correctly. You're not mumbling. Everything should be perfect. But for some reason, you're not speaking as greatly to the audience as you could be. You're not invoking any feelings in them. You're just kind of sounding like a robot talking at your one specific pace that you always talk at. You can be speaking at the perfect consistent pace, but you'll still only just be kinda good. To be great, you need to be able to diversify your speech patterns, diversify your pace. That's what makes the difference between a good and a great speaker. Having a ready insight. This reminds me of when Musashi said in the Book of Five Rings that when you're sword fighting an opponent and his strikes are slower, then you should strike faster. If his attacks are slow, then you should be able to quickly throw him off his guard. The Book of Five Rings has a lot of examples of you embodying the complementary opposite, which is just like seeing the situation as it is, not trying to make something up in your head about, okay, maybe I can be faster than him. You are always the complementary opposite to your opponent. So if your opponent is fast, then you go slow. You're always seeing the situation and doing the opposite to throw them off their fucking guard, which I think is really fucking cool, because it's like there's always a balance somehow. Sword fighting fast versus slow is just one example in his book of being the complementary opposite, but there are several more. This also reminds me of The Way of the Superior Man, which is a book, and it also reminds me of Hamza videos. I think because Hamza learned some of his video knowledge from The Way of the Superior Man, so it makes sense. It reminds me of both. Specifically, it reminds me of when they talk about women. Both the book and Hamza say that you as a man should find a woman who is your complementary opposite. That's literally the name of one of the chapters in the book. In this context, to explain it quickly, this means that a very masculine man should be paired with a very feminine woman. One of them is there for objectivity, goal orientation, stuff like that. And then the other is there for like very in touch with her emotions, very ever changing. The flow is always changing, That's what I understand anyway. I know I'm just a kid, okay? I know I don't understand a whole lot, but I kind of see it, I'm sure that maybe you can see it too, the difference between, a man and a woman. There is a difference. Like, it's like if you look at even your dad and your mom, your dad is like, they embody this kind of, Even if it's just in a slight way, you can see like, the dad is usually more like, let's fix it. And then the mom is like, that's kind of maybe why you like your mom more. That's why some people like their moms more, because it's like they're more gentle, they're more emotional. When a man and woman don't embody these traits very fully, then the relationship kind of suffers, They become depolarized, is what Hamza calls it. Let's look at it like masculine and feminine are at the opposite sides of a spectrum. And when both parties get closer to the middle, then that's when it becomes depolarized, because both are the same. And this throws the whole dynamic off balance, you know? It's like, when you think about it, it's like, shouldn't this be more balanced because you're meeting in the middle? It's like, yeah, you're compromising, but you're not really. It's like, you kind of need the separation. You need to have both sides of the spectrum so that both are accounted for. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I don't even know what I mean. Maybe I got a little off topic there, but like, what am I trying to say? To win, you need to be the complementary opposite. If you want a good relationship, be polarized as the masculine man, complemented by the feminine woman. If you want to be an excellent swordsman, you need to have a ready insight for your opponent's his headspace, even his headspace and his tactics. You need to have an insight for. If he's slow, then you speed up. If he's defensive, then what you can do is rile him up somehow. You be aggressive, and then, but don't get too close, but you make him aggressive. You rub off on him, get him pissed off, and then he lashes out, and then that's when you get him, because he's used to going slow, you know. He's used to being defensive and nonchalant even. So you piss him off, and then now he's not used to being in that state. But you can use that to your advantage. You can use his Musashi calls it lashing out. He's lashing out at you. He's being reckless. So then that's when you strike him. If you want to be an excellent public speaker or storyteller, changing the pace of your speed and changing your pitch, changing your tone, all of this will make you a great speaker versus just a good one who just, he conveys his point, but not in such a charismatic way. Just keeping one pace of speech, one pace of talking, however theoretically perfect it is, does not engage the audience to the extent that it could engage the audience, that your message conveys to them. Because really, it's important to be able to convey your message in a way that's engaging, so that the audience actually like retains what you're saying. Your message is important to them. If you're not willing to change up your strategy, but you would rather just stay set in your ways, you know, what does that mean? You want to stay set in your ways? I'm just a guy who stays set in my ways, so I can't be fucked. You need to change, you know. You don't need to change everything about yourself, but you need to be willing to change it up sometimes, you know. Different circumstances require different outputs from you. I mean, different inputs, whatever. The only constant is change. I'm sure maybe you've heard that before. The only constant is change. And so things can't stay the same forever. So why would you? You don't need to change everything about yourself. But when the situation calls for it, are you gonna do something that doesn't solve the problem, that doesn't fit the situation? Or are you gonna adapt to the situation? A long distance runner and a short distance runner are seeking two different things. The short distance runner needs to get there as soon as fucking possible, before any of his competitors. The long distance runner still wants the same thing, but a good long distance runner understands that he needs to preserve his energy, you know. Let's even think about it like a marathon runner. Let's not think about 400 meter. Let's think about fucking kilometers, you know. You need to preserve your energy and still push. The human body is built different for these sorts of things. It adapts to the long distance versus the short distance runner. In my biology class, it was called, I think rapid muscles or something. I actually don't remember. But the body actually adapts for the different kinds of runners. Long distance running requires endurance. It requires the muscles to stay like calm and consistent, you know? But the short distance runner, it's like fucking stomping on the ground, like just get me there. It's different. This is a line from Elden Ring. I can't remember if it's an item description from a blue fairy doll or the thing, like the outfit that the blind swordsman wears. I saw it in a Vati video. The line is, just as still water turns foul, stagnation leads to decay. So warriors must remain ever drifting. That's everything I have for today.